Two men are lying side by side on a quiet hillside outside Rio de Janeiro. They're dressed for a formal occasion, matching suits, waterproof coats buttoned to the neck, and over their eyes, each man is wearing a mask made of lead. Not a costume, not a disguise, two homemade lead masks, shaped like eye protection you'd wear around radiation. There's no blood, no wound, no sign either man fought for his life. Just a folded note a few feet away, two lines, two different times, and instructions that don't explain anything. They only make it stranger. Nobody has ever proven what killed them. This is the lead masks case. This channel usually covers cold cases from inside the United States. This one's different, a case so strange it earned a place here anyway. So, welcome to the first file outside the States. Manoel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Viana were electronics technicians in Campos das Goitacazes, a mid-sized city in Rio de Janeiro state. Ordinary work, repairing radios and appliances for a living. Both men were married. Manoel's wife was named Nelly. Miguel's wife, Elsa, was raising 4 young children with him at home. Off the clock, both men shared an interest that was less ordinary: spiritualism and amateur experiments with radio and television signals. They weren't alone in this. A friend from Miguel's workshop, a younger man named Elcio Correa Gomes, worked alongside him as something like an apprentice. And it was Elcio, a committed spiritualist himself, who drawn both men deeper into these experiments. Sometime before August 1966, the three of them had triggered a massive explosion on Atafona Beach, so loud that nearby residents thought it was an earthquake. It was serious enough that the Brazilian Navy opened an investigation into it. That wasn't the only experiment. Police investigating the technicians' deaths would later learn that Manoel and Miguel had a documented habit, traveling to hilltops in towns across 2 states to run experiments involving television signal reception. This wasn't a one-time idea. It was a pattern. On August 17, 1966, Manoel and Miguel told their families they were headed out to buy supplies for work. Elcio drove them to the Campos bus station, the last time anyone besides the 2 men themselves would document their movements. They boarded a bus for Niteroi, arriving early afternoon. Witnesses and shopkeepers later confirmed the 2 men bought waterproof coats from a local store and a bottle of water from a nearby bar. Then they climbed Vintem Hill on the edge of the city, a spot locals already associated with something else entirely: reported UFO sightings. That's the last confirmed sighting of either man alive. 3 days later, on August 20th, a boy flying a kite on Vintem Hill spotted something in the grass. 2 bodies lying side by side. Da Cruz and Viana were dressed exactly as witnesses described: suits, waterproof coats. Each man's eyes were covered by a mask made of lead, shaped specifically to fit his face. Real police photos from the scene, later published in Brazilian press, show the 2 masks removed and held side by side. Crude, hand-cut, unmistakably homemade. Near the bodies, a folded page with 2 lines, handwritten, that read less like an explanation and more like a set of instructions with a schedule attached. A handwriting analysis later confirmed the note was written by Miguel himself. That doesn't answer what it meant, but it settles at least who was holding the pen. The investigation opened under Venancio Bittencourt, chief of the 2nd Police District of Santa Rosa. Investigators searched the scene for the obvious explanations first. No gun, no knife, no visible wound, no signs of a struggle. An official autopsy, case number NR 3052/66, could not determine a cause of death at all. No trace of poison or narcotics turned up in either man's system. No trace of radioactivity either, despite the masks looking, to modern eyes, exactly like something built for that purpose. The autopsy itself became part of the mystery. The report was credited to medical examiners Astor Pereira de Milo and Walmer Gianni, but records show a different name was originally written down: then erased and replaced with Gianni's. A prosecutor who later reviewed the case, Edmo Lutterbach, called the reports imprecise and poorly documented, issued almost 2 months after the men had already died. What they did find only deepened the mystery. Empty capsules, matching the ones referenced in the note, were recovered nearby, but investigators couldn't confirm what had been inside them or whether the men had actually taken them. Because of the trip to the Campos bus station, Elcio Correa Gomes, the friend and fellow experimenter, became a person of interest. Police brought him in for questioning, connecting him to the earlier Atafona explosion as a possible link to whatever the two men had been planning on the hill. He denied any involvement in their deaths. Investigators found no evidence tying him to what happened and released him days later. No charges were ever filed against him. The case eventually passed to Inspector Vintem Pereira, who closed the file without a determined cause of death. In building his final theory, Pereira consulted Dr. Silvio Lago, a physician with an interest in parapsychology, in an attempt to explain the deaths as the result of some kind of mystical or scientific experiment gone wrong. It was an official theory, but never a proven one. Without a confirmed cause of death, the lead masks case has spent nearly 60 years collecting theories. None of them close the case. Each one explains part of the scene and leaves another part standing. Theory 1, a self-experiment gone wrong. This is the theory with the most documented support behind it. Manoel and Miguel weren't casual hobbyists. Police established they'd run similar hilltop experiments for months across 6 different towns. Under this theory, the two men built the masks themselves for a specific experiment, planned a precise schedule for it, the 2 timestamps in the note, and misjudged something about the process. It fits their history. It fits the instructional tone of the note. What it doesn't explain: the autopsy found no trace of any drug or chemical in their systems, despite the note's reference to a capsule. Theory 2, a spiritualist ritual. Both men were part of Brazil's spiritist movement, active and mainstream in the region at the time, and Elcio Correa Gomes had drawn them further into it. Some investigators, including Inspector Pereira himself, proposed the masks and note describe ritual instructions, using the masks as spiritual shielding, not physical protection. It fits their documented interests and their friendship with Elcio. It doesn't explain why. If this was a known ritual practice, nothing about the outcome matches any recognized spiritist procedure on record. Theory 3, the UFOs theory. This is the version that made the case internationally famous. Vintem Hill had a local reputation for unexplained lights in the sky. Under this theory, the note's agreed location, signal, and mask describe preparation for contact with something not human. It's the theory with the least physical evidence behind it, and the one investigators were least willing to entertain officially. It's also the one that never stopped generating public fascination. Theory 4, they were victims, not participants. A smaller number of researchers argue neither man wrote the note, that someone else staged the scene, and the two were killed by a method no autopsy in 1966 could detect. This explains the absence of drugs in toxicology. It doesn't explain who would have done it or why. Elcio Correa Gomes was investigated specifically because of this possibility and cleared. No version of this theory has ever produced a named suspect or supporting physical evidence. According to investigators at the time, and every review since, the case remains open with an undetermined cause of death. Nearly 60 years later, the lead masks case has never been officially resolved. Brazilian investigators never issued a determined cause of death. Beyond the two men themselves, no suspect was ever formally charged. Elcio Correa Gomes remains, on the record, a man who was questioned and released, not a convicted party to anything. The physical evidence, the masks, the note, the capsules, has been documented in Brazilian police archives and referenced across decades of press coverage, exhumation records, and case files. But no modern forensic re-examination has produced a new answer. Researchers and journalists in Brazil still revisit the case periodically, and it remains one of the most cited unexplained death cases in the country's history. As of today, nothing has changed the fundamental facts. Two men climbed a hill with a plan only they understood, and no one has ever been able to say for certain what happened to them there. Manoel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Viana were not mystics or celebrities. They were technicians, husbands, fathers, men who fixed radios for a living and spent their free time chasing questions bigger than their day jobs. Whatever they were looking for on that hill, they never got to explain it. If you have a theory of your own, we'd like to hear it. Leave it in the comments. And if this channel's kind of case is your kind of case, consider subscribing. There are more files where this one came from.